Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And it's time to take a look at the new Festive Memories cat girl Hinata, who I'm really not vibing with, but we got to do the showcase anyways. So she is space magic, uses a book on a bunch of teams. Festive Memories, she uses Will, Heart of a Hero, Warriors, Mind, Storm Spirit, and Prosper. She is a support alt, which is giving extra weakness strike to Festive Memories and Warrior's Mind. She needed to do that because Festive Memories only gets buffed once a year, so they need to add another one onto that. Her first skill can allow speed-type characters to send an alt without using any of their gauge, therefore allowing them to nuke back-to-back, and then gives the alt orbs the same effects as a green orb. Now, that effect, the alt orb green stuff, lasts for 5 turns, because you can only use this skill once, so they had to make it count, because you can't just be doing back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back alts with this skill, and that would be a bit too dumb. Her second skill applies control stacks, just like Warrior's Mind Violet, extra weakness strike at the end of the turn, and buffing debuff, or enhancing debuffs by 40%. And then she also lowers everyone's pierce resistance by 120% for 2 turns, which is actually more because of the control stack. She has really good traits. First trait is Protection Gauge turn 1 and 2. It's a new trait. We haven't seen that one before. We have seen 1, 2, and 3, but not 1 and 2. And then her second trait, if you for some reason have extra dupes of her, is extra skill points every 2 turns. So good traits, and I'm not a super big fan of the kit, but let's go ahead and get started. Alright, we're going to start with the Festive Memories team with Diablo, Hinata, Frey, and Ninehead. We've got Kyokyo and Milim for cheap, usable buffs. There are more powerful support characters you can put, but we're just using it as is. Since Hinata is level 112, we do have her full protection gauge trait, so she's up in the beginning slot, so we get extra gauge on turn 1, and we'll leave her there for turn 2. So we're going to get 16 points of protection gauge in the first 2 turns, which is pretty huge, especially if you're on a team that lacks protection gauge at the start of the turn, like an orange team or something. So this, dupes of her could be useful, but we'll start the run as we always do. Let's take out Kyokyo for Frey, convert with Ninehead, use the Frostbite buff and the green buff, and then sending 6 orbs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. We have a lot of gauge here. We're going to get a double protector because we have protection gauge traits underneath Ninehead and Frey, and then we're going to get the extra from Hinata on turn 2, and that will give us a double Diablo this turn. So, yep, there you go. Lots of good protection gauge. That could be really, really impactful for some people. But let's go ahead and put the control stack on. Let's do the personal buff with Ninehead, and then we could send him away. And then what we could do is we could take... let's do this. Let's do a Diablo here, just to give Ninehead the alt. And then we'll come back, and we'll take out Hinata. For Kyokyo, we'll use his buff, so Ninehead is holding on to that, and then we'll take Ninehead away for Milim, and we'll just have the full hand of greens right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to give Frey her EX ult. I don't want to send it quite yet here, even though we definitely could have, because we would have made it back anyways. But I want to use the Hinata skill on turn 3, so I could show off the ability that has. So, we will take out Kyokyo for Milim, bring Hinata in. Ninehead's already holding on to the magic, weakness strike, pierce, and attack buff. And now that we have alts, let's use Diablo one more time. We can give Hinata the EX buff, or EX ult, and then we could use the power of Frey to bring our alts forward, make this an EX ult for Hinata, boom, and then technically bring Milim's in, not really important for her. But now we're going to use the free alt gauge gimmick for Hinata. So speed type character can activate their alt or EX alt and they could retain all of their gauge so they could do it the following turn. And it's going to make green or alts act like green orbs. So we have 3 alts. Now we have 6 greens, essentially. But when we send this, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the animation on or off? Okay, cool. So, Milim, I don't care about her alt. But we gotta watch Hinata's alt, because she's the main character here. It's a cute alt, I'll give her that. She's slightly embarrassed by the outfit, but then she just launches them into space and then makes a pretty Christmas tree. Frey is dropping Snowman down. Hinata is going up into an uppercut and making a Christmas tree as she falls back down. There's some extra weakness strike, but you can see we still have the EX alt, and Frey is going to have that too, and, well, Milim won't because she's not a speed character. But that means that on turn 4, we could send 2 more EX alts, even though we didn't really need to do that because we have Diablo who can alt rush us back anyways. So there is the ability there. The entire hand, even though we had 3 alts, acted like 6 screens, gave us more skill points, and we can still send another alt here. So let's just go ahead and reapply Frostbite and the control stacks. Boom, boom. And then, technically we could use Diablo. It's not going to give Hinata and Frey any more alt, but it's going to give us a full hand, and we'll just send another alt, giving us extra weakness strike for 9 head next turn. We don't need to watch these anymore. 108k. And Frey hit Aegis, so she did 1. But we still get the weakness strike stacks. 4, 5, and 6. So now it's turn 5. We've gotten 4 EX alts, which is, 110 times... Yeah, so 220... 440% weakness strike for 9 head. Even more so because we're going to send more alts here. So that's pretty powerful, right? Pretty powerful. Let's do Hinata again. Or not Hinata, but Diablo one more time. We got to turn that off. And we have enough points to where we could use the alt gimmick again. Oh, I did it too early. No, oh well. It's okay. Milim out. I should have done double Diablo to give Hinata the EX alt. That way we could send 6 EX alts in the span of 3 turns. That would have been quite crazy. But that's all we have to use here. The control stacks are still active, so we're enhancing the debuffs. Now we have a 100% extra value for any debuffs. So Pierce Resistance, 240%. That's coming from Hinata's skill. And normally it's 120. Now it's 140. Alt Resistance, 140. Weakness Resistance, 150. So any debuff you put on is just going to be doubled in value. So let's also see the weakness strike stacks we have on 9 head. And she's got 440% there, plus another 80 from Kyokyo's skill. So, that's a lot of weakness strike. And we are going to get more here because of the other support alts. So another 110, another 55. So 440, 550, 605, plus the 80%. So 685% weakness strike is what we've got going on after we send these 2 alts before 9 head. Hopefully they don't kill. Alright, no, we're fine. So boom, more weakness strike, even more weakness strike, and then 9 head comes in and drops 22 million as a free-to-play non-EX character. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So she's going to work really, really, really well on the Festive Memories team. If you put her away from the Festive Memories team, though, I think that's where she begins to have a few issues. Alright, since she's got control stacks like Violet, let's put her on the Warrior's Mind team, which is a debuff-centric team, so the control stacks are still going to work. They're going to do pretty much the same thing. The thing is, we're losing the Rainbow Orb change, which is kind of impactful for the Warrior's Mind team. We're also losing the alt resistance down, so instead we're getting Pierce resistance down, which means we need someone with Pierce rate, and we took Gobwa away in case you didn't pull her, and we've got the Divine General Master Hero with Pierce power and Pierce rate. We've got Blanc. We got Leon for the alt and EX alt buff, and then we're going to go into the same beatdown, so we need to bring someone to convert turn 1, and we'll make that Triya instead. So technically, yes, this is going to work because Blanc and Hinata are both speed type characters. Traya technically is too, so we could, make them not use any alt gauge when we want them to. However, is that really the most efficient way of bringing a character here? I'm not entirely sure on that one. We're going to leave Hinata up front again because we get the extra protection gauge, and this team definitely needs it when we don't have the rainbow orbs. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what are we getting? We're getting a team who is going to have alts act like green orbs. Okay, well, we're running an orange team. Is that super helpful? I mean, it can be. We have 1 orb for Blanc. Okay, well, that's a bit unfortunate. So, let's go ahead and use Shuna. Make our hand entirely oranges. Thank God oranges aren't nerfed in this fight. We've got rainbows. Okay, so we don't have this yet because we don't have access to an alt. Therefore, we can't use that skill. So what we can do is we could use the control stacks. However, that's not super important right now because we're, 1, not type advantage, so the weakness strike we're going to get from them stacking is not going to matter to any person on this team except Leon, and he's not the reason why we're nuking. So, what do we do next? I guess we just send the oranges, and we just pray that we get some Blanc orbs next turn so we could send that. But having us use alts for free on this team, or really any other team besides the Festive Memories team, I don't think is going to be super... Oh, come on. I don't think is going to be super important, because when you're not type advantage, you're not fighting the element that you're wanting to, sending a whole bunch of support alts doesn't really do much, because the weakness strike doesn't do anything for you. And here, we have 1 alt for the hero, but Hinata personally does not have one. So we can't use this skill yet. We need Hinata to have an alt before we can use this gimmick, and Blanc obviously isn't ready to do that either. We are getting 0 Blanc orbs, actually, which is kind of a terrible thing, so let me cut and we'll come back. Okay, this is much, much better. Turn 2, we got 5 Blanc orbs. That's what I'm looking for. So now we can get the EX alt. We're going to hold on to the Blanc skill. That's off, right? No, we got to turn that off. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got max points. We've got the EX alt for Blanc. No alt for Hinata still, which means that we're not going to be able to use that gimmick skill until she gets an alt. But with this kind of traditional build, where you're not type advantage, the support alts aren't doing anything for you, you don't really need that, right? If you're going into a fight that's type neutral, or doesn't have an element to begin with, this gimmick really doesn't mean anything, because then you go back into your traditional nuke settings, and that means that you nuke once, and the enemy, hopefully dies. Now, there is a precedent where maybe your team is a bit weaker, you can't nuke like that, and you do need a backup alt, fine. Oh, she does have an alt. Or, why can't... Oh, because the hero was not a speed type character. Oh, well... I still want to hold that Pierce buff, so we're still going to send her away. So there's no getting around that. I want Blanc with the Pierce buff, but if we leave her up front and use the gimmick, there's no real point in that. So we'll just do this, and then we'll move on. So it's we don't need to use that skill. I don't care if the ult is acting like a green. I'm holding on to the Pierce buff, and I want to use that the following turn. I don't want to use that now and waste it, because I don't want to have to do it again and have it be more expensive. And the pierce resistance is cool, especially if you have a character who is giving you pierce rate. But if you don't have that, then that effect is kind of not super duper useful. So let's do the alt EX alt skill. Boom. Okay, we got 90 points left over. We could bring Blanc back in for the masked hero. Okay, we'll use her free... Well, actually, we don't need to, because that's already active. So let's just use that. And then, I guess we could use that skill. Is it going to do anything for us? Probably not. But now Blanc has the alt EX alt buff, the dark resistance down, and the physical buff. We've got the pierce down, and all this is being enhanced by the dread and control stacks. So dark plus 238, physical attack 170, pierce down 204. So yeah, it's gonna work. Would I have rather brought someone else who was maybe a bit more useful here? Yeah, probably. I would have probably brought like a synergy character, like the new Masked Hero or something, instead of this Masked Hero. I don't know. But I'm trying to take advantage of everything, so let's send 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Blanc, I mean, probably kills here. Yeah, there you go. 10 million damage. Could we have gotten 10 million damage with a different team build in 4 turns without the power of Hinata? Yeah, because Hinata isn't doing that much for us on this team. And this is the other most debuff-centric team there is, even though we don't have Gobwa here. There are other teams that you can use debuffs, like Fern's ult resistance down, for example, or the hero's synergy down. Like, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 of the characters are going to have a debuff, but primarily they're going to just be normal buffs. And then, do you really need Hinata? Most of the time I'm thinking the answer is no. Alright, final team. We're going to go into the Octogram Lumi event using a Danmachi-ish team with Hinata. And then ODL Milim, who you might have gotten from your 4th Andy tickets or something, and then we got Fern. And Fern has a debuff, right? She's got ult resistance down, which Hinata's control stacks will enhance. But Milim has a personal pierce rate buff, so we can activate the pierce resistance down, and we can activate the pierce power stacks from Bell early. So in theory, this is going to work, and Hestia is going to make sure we have enough points to do a couple things, so let's try it out. Alright, so let's bring Milim in. I don't have enough points to do that, unfortunately. Well, we can still convert anyways, thank God. So let's do exactly that. Let's 1, 2, 3, 4, convert, stance, pierce stack, green buff, multi-skill, orb change, you know, the whole shebang on turn 1. And then we can bring Milim in for Shuna. And next turn, we could probably use some rainbows, right? And then because Milim has her own pierce rate, again, like we can do it. I don't actually want to bring Fern in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Cool. She already has an EX alt, or an alt. Good start. Do we have to kind of bend the team around to make this work? Yeah, because Bell, normally, we wouldn't get pierce rate until turn 8, which we're just going to supplant that with Milim's personal pierce buff, because she is the DPS character. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do this. Let's make... I mean, Milim is a speed type character, so I guess we could do this. Yeah. So pierce rate. Alright, rainbow convert. And then we'll do the gimmick. Bell is not a speed character. He is a charge character. So he's not going to get that ability. Only Milim is, which honestly is fine, because she's the whole point. We want her to not only send an ult here for funsy onesies, but also to get an EX ult just from this. So we could take you out of here, and we can bring Shuna in. We'll do the green buff again, and then we'll do a couple stacks of Bell. And every time we do it, I mean, we're getting more pierce power, which means that Milim is going to hit harder and harder because she has pierce rate for herself for the next 3 turns. So we're instantly going to benefit from that. And then eventually we're going to use the control stack from Hinata, which again doesn't really make that much of a difference for everyone except Bell, because he's light. And he's a support ult. He's not meant to do big time damage. Yeah, 28k. Look at that shit. Milim, though, will do more. Alright, 179k on turn 2. 35k on the normal orb. Cool. But we've now used an ult, but we've actually gained an EX ult out of it because we didn't delete any of that gauge to begin with. So we're looking good. Milim can now go away, essentially. She's ready to go. And we'll come back. I mean, we could probably nuke now, honestly. We don't have points for that. I think so. Alright, let's take a... Let's do the multi-skill with Shuna. We'll bring Fern in for the EX ult up and ult resistance down, which is going to be enhanced by the control stack. And then we'll bring Hinata up front, and we'll use our double Hestia to give us enough points. Control, and then everything else will be pierce stacks of Bell. So boom. Cool. And then we have another 25 points from the Harpscape if we really need to use it for anything. And yeah, like we can make Hinata work. It's just, it's gonna require some help from other characters, specifically other debuff units and someone with pierce rate, which that's going to be the biggest kicker. If you don't have anyone with pierce rate, Hinata's skill is kind of useless. So, and 25 points isn't going to make a difference here. So we'll send the Bell first because that's going to give us extra ult damage, and then we'll send Milim, and we should kill here. Should be in the keyword, 189k, and Milim 4.1. Okay, yeah, that works. We do have to build around it, though. So instead of building around the DPS, we've built around the support character in a way that still works in our favor. But, I mean, I don't know a lot of people that are going to have all 6 of these characters to make this work. So I think Hinata is even more of a luxury character than Diablo and Frey, because you really, really don't need her. And for all the people that are like, but I'm missing Violet, she doesn't have the same value as Violet, because Violet's skills are both useful pretty much anywhere, whereas this Hinata is only really good when you're on a speed team that has pierce rate, which you can definitely find, but Violet, just you throw her on the team and she's got rainbows and she's got ult resistance down in control stacks. You don't have to think about it that much. You do have to build around her rainbows, but she does it for 3 different teams. So overall, Hinata's okay. She's really good in her one perfect setting, and she's okay on other places, or she's outright just replaceable on others. So I don't really think people need her. But let me know what you guys think of this Hinata. Is she more impressive than I'm giving her credit for, or do you agree? Let me know in the comments. But that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.